Melissa Thompson, and in a moment I'll introduce you to our two speakers for today. We are going to do session three of our mini event. Um, this session is a panel discussion. We have two teachers from different countries. We're going to talk about how to create lessons that work. So before we start, tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments, where are you joining from? Where in the world are you? We would love to know where the teachers in our room are coming from. So say hello in the chat, in the comments. And welcome everyone who's joining. I know we have an audience in Zoom, an audience on Facebook, and an audience in YouTube. Well, let's start meeting our first guest. It's Sadiku Bashiru. Hi, Sadiku. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And you?
Great. I'm really good, thanks. I'm really happy to have you here today. Tell the audience, where are you? Where are you joining us from?
Yes, I'm joining from Nigeria,
Mhm.
precisely Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
Great. So we have any Nigerian teachers watching? Say hi. Tell us where you are. Tell us if you've met Sadiku and his many teacher training sessions around Nigeria. Let's say hi for now to Jessica Gallagher. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, everybody.
And you're in a very different area in the world. Where are you at the
I
moment,
I am
Jessica?
currently in Lima, Peru.
Okay, what a fantastic city. Amazing. Well, I think we are just about ready to get started. So I'll introduce the event. So again, welcome. We are just about to start session three, which is a panel discussion with us, teachers from all around the world, from Spain, in Peru, from Nigeria. And our session is called How to Create Lessons That Work. So let's introduce Sadiku in Nigeria. Sadiku is a teacher and a manager and a teacher trainer working in Nigeria with secondary school students, and he has a special interest in project-based learning in ICT, and he's going to focus on that in his presentation. And then we're going to hear a little bit about a different part of project-based learning from Jessica. So, Jessica, we'll say goodbye for now, for only about 15 minutes, and we'll pass across to Sadiku. So, Sadiku, when you're ready, you can start sharing your slides. Great. Okay. Yeah, we can see them. We can see them now. All right. Yeah, just about ready to get started. That looks great. Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi, I think we need to click the button that says resume slideshow. Can we find that? Yeah, that I think that one I think will put it full screen for us. Yeah, perfect. Looks really good now. Great, Sadiku.
All right. Yeah.
Over to you. Enjoy,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good to be with you this very day. Today, we're looking at an important aspect of creating lessons that work. And today, we'll be discussing project work in topic-based lesson. And my plan has to do with what is a project work? Why project work in a topic-based lesson? And we'll be looking at what are the key stages for successful projects. And we're looking at the resources that are needed to carry out a successful project. Before we start, I want someone to tell me in the chat, okay, have you ever engaged learners in project work? Yes. Have we ever engaged learners in project work? Yes, yes, that is good. Very correct. Yes, 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 everyone. Fantastic. Can you tell me in the chat as well one word that is associated with the word project? One word associated with the word project. Research, fantastic. Activity, work, yeah, teamwork. That is great. Wow. Focus, collaboration, sharing ideas, group work. Great, fantastic. Thank you for all the wonderful ideas. Okay, so we have teamwork, research, we have deadlines, creativity, then we have problem solving. So let's begin. What is a project? A project will be described as a longer or more complex version of task-based activities in which learners work together using different skills, using different materials, resources that put together in a project form. Project work focuses on completing a particular task. That is very, very important. The end product at the end of the day is that you're coming up with a particular task. So what are the key benefits of engaging learners in project work? Number one, it enhances engagement. The learners are academically engaged, working together. Engagement is key. Number two, but once there's a project work where learners come together in different groups, you find deeper understanding of the concept. And there's also the development of the 21st century skills of critical thinking. Then we have collaboration and teamwork, creativity and innovation. Then we also find independent learning. Then we also find cross-curricular links. And you see at the end of the day, you'll be having what we call the improved communication skills of the learners. And the project work tends to assess a wide range of skills. And there's this real world connection you find in project work. Tell me the charts. What do you think are the stages needed in a project work? Yes, what do you think are the stages needed in the project work? Yes, what are the stages? Critical thinking, yeah, brainstorming, yes. Brainstorming, yes. Discussion, yes. Planning, implementing, reflection, collaboration. Fantastic, fantastic. So we have the various key stages of projects. Number one, we have the planning stage. And number two, we have the preparation stage, implementation, presentation, and assessment. And we also find the reflection and the feedback stage. Let's look at them one after the other. The planning stage. When you talk of the planning stage, for example, you're looking at a project like creating the Emirate app. Creating the Emirate app is an example of a project work that students that are engaged in that work, that their ages from age 10 to 14. So at the planning stage, it's a stage where you're looking at what the topic is. You're looking at a research topic, looking at the project topic. And that topic, you know, when looking at the, creating the Eminent app, looking at enhancing education through innovative projects. Very, very important. Then you now want to find out what will be the learning outcome. What will be the learning objective? What are we going to get at the end of the day? At the end of the day, we find innovative thinking, very, very key, from the children, from the students, reflective lifestyle. And we're looking at collaborative work. And beside that, there's a time where you set a time frame. A set a time frame where you conclude the project work. For example, looking at the creating the Emirates app, with students aged 10, to 14. Okay, that project may run for 2 terms. And from the region where I come from, a term makes up 3 months. So we're looking at 6 months. Looking at the first, you can start from the first term, then you migrate to the second term. So there's a time frame, there's a time limit set for the actualization of that very project. Next stage. Now, I want to bring you to an example, of a project that's I engage, some students on. And this project, we started the project October last year, and we're rounding up the project very soon. And the project is creating the Emirates app. And the Emirates app, okay, is an app that tends to enhance holistic education through innovative projects. And this app, okay, created by students age 10 to 14 years. The app is designed, okay, to track every student progress from the beginning of their education, like in the secondary school, from year 7 to year 12. And for this app, the students came up with 7 domains of activities that produces a holistic education. And the 7 domains include, number 1, we're looking at academics. Number 2, we're looking at behavior. Number 3, we're looking at extracurricular activities. And number 4, we're looking at co-curricular activities. Looking at leadership, pastoral, and sports. So this app is meant to track the student progress from one domain to the other. And at the end of the day, okay, the students, they'll be graded based on these 7 domains. And here we have 3 levels of grading, 3 levels of assessment that gives award to the students. Number 1, if a student scores 4 out of 7, that student is awarded the Emirate Gold Scholar Award. And number 2, if a student out of this 7 domain is able to score 5 out of 7, that student, is awarded the Emirate Platinum Award. And number 3, a student scored 6 and above of the 7 domain, that student is awarded the Diamond Scholar Award. So you find at the end of the day, you are trying to build a holistic education with the children. That's what the app is all about. Then implementation stage, a stage where you carry out research, data collection, which can be through textbooks, can be through newspapers, it can be online sources, it can be through survey or field work. Then we get to the development stage, where children work on creating the projects, and they write models and they do presentation. Besides, implementation stage is a stage where the students go through guidance. The teacher, that is the mentor, monitors the progress of the children, provides support, and also provides improvement. Then we have the stage where the students come in their various groups. It can be group A, group B, group C, group D. Okay? And they come out to present what they've done. So the students submit and showcase their completed work. And the students in their various groups, okay, select team members that will present. So the students present their findings to peers and present their findings to their mentors. Then in the presentation stage, there's also an assessment and a reflection. At this stage, evaluation is done based on the criteria of content, criteria of creativity, and criteria of collaboration. Then at this stage, a reflection and feedback. Here, students are encouraged to reflect on their learning experience. Teachers provide constructive comments on the strengths of the students and the weakness of the students and areas for improvement. And beside that, there's also a session for review when the lessons are being reviewed. And teachers discuss how the project can help achieve the learning goal. Okay. So far, tell me in the chat box one or two 21st century skills that can be enhanced through a project like this in the chat box, please. 21st century skills that can be enhanced. Digital literacy, that is very correct. That is creativity, very correct. Yes. Problem solving skills, 21st century skills. Yes. Critical thinking skills, very communication, very correct. Global education, very correct. Very, very correct. So project-based lesson is very, very important for the century in which we are today. And as we use this, our children will begin to develop the 21st century skills that are expected from them. So likely response, we have the skills, problem solving, critical thinking, communication skills, the use of ICT. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sadiku. What an inspiring project. I mean, the eMerit app sounds absolutely amazing. I can't believe that students in Nigeria are just doing such great work that's about their own learning. I love that.
Yeah.
So come back in a few moments after Jessica's presentation and tell us more because I'm sure everyone has questions. But for now, let's say goodbye to Sadiku. You can stop sharing your PowerPoint screen now. And let's go across to Jessica Gallagher, who's going to talk also about project-based learning. We're big fans here, but about something a bit different. So, hi, Jessica, how are you?
Hi, Melissa.
Really
Good. How are
good.
you?
Good, I'm really good. I'll tell the audience a little bit about you. So you're from the USA originally, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, which state?
I'm from New York.
Okay. And now you live in Peru. So she's in Lima, Peru, and now she teaches teenagers there. And she's going to talk about higher order thinking. She's going to talk about a kind of another area that's kind of connected to what Sadiku's talked about. And then later we'll bring back both of them and we'll ask some questions. So for now, I'll pass across to Jessica and you can start. Enjoy, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. So, like Melissa said, today we're going to be looking at how can you ask the right questions with elevating inquiry with higher order thinking. So, to start, I have this statement. We are shutting down our students' curiosity. We are teaching them to memorize rather than to think. So, in the chat, can you write, do you agree or do you disagree with this statement? We are shutting down our students' curiosity. We are teaching them to memorize rather than to think. Okay, so let's take a look. We have a lot of people agreeing, some people disagreeing. Great. So thank you so much for participating. When we look at this statement, a lot of times we shut down our students' curiosity by asking the wrong questions. And I want to show you an example of a very common scenario in classes. So maybe, Melissa, if you're able to help me out, perhaps you can be the student. So
Sure.
this is what, thank you so much. So this is what we call the ping pong effect. So just take a look at what's happening. I'm going to be the teacher, Melissa's going to be our student. So if I ask, what's the answer?
He runs to the bus stop.
How was your weekend?
Good.
What is the setting?
The school.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So you can see here that the teacher and the student are doing this back and forth, this ping pong effect, but there's no critical thinking, there's no deeper thinking happening because the teacher isn't giving more opportunities to expand on those answers. So, a lot of people here are probably very familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, which was revised in 2001, this idea that we need to push our students away from just the remembering and understanding sections and towards the analyzing, evaluating, and creating sections of this pyramid. And if I think about my own class, I think it's very easy for me as the teacher to fall into this understanding and remembering category when asking my students questions. So I want to share with you a technique or a strategy to deepen the critical thinking of your students by asking questions. This is called Webb's depth of knowledge. And with Webb's depth of knowledge, we're going to have four what we call DOK, right? Four depths of knowledge. And the first one is recall and reproduction. So this is the bottom of that pyramid. These are those questions like, who is the main character? What is the problem in the story? Where does the story take place? When does the main character uh, solve the problem, right? These very, very basic questions that the majority of our students can answer successfully. And I like to think of Webb's depth of knowledge as this iceberg, right? Our students' curiosity and their critical thinking as an iceberg. And the first depth of knowledge is really at the very, very tippy top of the iceberg. It's really very basic, not deep at all. And while these questions are valuable, we want to push our students to that creation, to that analyzing, right? Those stages. So as we move on into Webb's Depth of Knowledge 2 or DOK 2, this is going to be our basic skills and applications. So now we're just touching the surface on those questions, right? So can you compare and contrast the use of semicolons and colons? How would you classify these sentences as either simple, compound, or complex, and why? How would you interpret the meaning of this idiom in this sentence? Right? So we are getting a little bit deeper. We're getting towards the surface, but we can go even deeper, really pushing our students to open up this discussion in the class. So getting into DOK 3, we're getting into strategic thinking. And now we have dived underneath the surface with questions like, what is the effect of switching this sentence from passive to active voice? This question is going to get a wide variety of answers and really push your students to think and to discuss. Or what inferences can you make about the main character? Right? There's no right or wrong answer with this. Really, there's going to be a variety of answers presented. And last, what evidence can you cite to justify your argument? So think to yourself, or if you want to share in the chat, that would be lovely as well. How many times or how often do you use DOK3 questions in your classroom? Because I know for myself, it's a lot easier to just use those ping pong questions, right? Those DOK1 questions. But I really have to stop myself and think, is this really pushing my students? Right? So we have some responses in the chat here. Rarely, not often, sometimes maybe 20 to 30%. Some people say they do it a lot, seldom, right? So this is something we have to really think about in our planning and also in our delivery of our lessons. And last but not least, we're getting to DOK 4. This is your critical thinking. This is the top of the pyramid, or I like to say the bottom of the iceberg. This is going to help our students critically think and really create and analyze and evaluate the material that we're presenting. So questions from DOK4 would be like, after investigating, what grammar rules change when speaking informally? Why do you think this is? Right? So instead of asking a DOK1 question, like, identify all of the simple past tense verbs in the paragraph. If you give them a question like this, it's going to make them think. And when students are critically thinking, they're able to then take those skills and transfer them to your class in the future, but also to their real life as well. Or how would you create a board game to teach simple present tense? What would happen if you switch the perspective of the main character? So instead of just identifying the main character, they really need to put themselves in that main character's shoes. So when we look at all four of these depths of knowledge, these DOKs, we have again DOK1, recall and reproduction, DOK2, basic skills and application, DOK3, strategic thinking, and DOK4, critical thinking. So now I have a question for you, if you can write in the chat. Which of these questions do you feel are the most valuable? So just again, which of these questions, DOK1, DOK2, DOK3, or DOK4, are the most valuable? So we have a lot of people saying DOK3, DOK4, the critical thinking, 3 and 4. A lot of them are interlinked, 3 and 4, right? So this question is actually a bit of a trick question. I would say all of these questions are valuable. All of these questions have a place within the classroom. However, in order to get to DOK4, your students need to be able to answer DOK1 questions. If they cannot identify the main character or the setting or the problem and solution, or they can't compare and contrast two characters in the story, they will not be able to get to that DOK4. So one thing I really like to do in my class when I make quizzes is I like to include one question from each DOK, and then it's gradually getting a little bit more deeper, getting more into your critical thinking skills. And then I can really see, are my students struggling with those basic questions, those DOK1 questions, or is it really the DOK4 questions that they need more help with? So now we're going to play a little activity. Let's see if you can try to identify what level are these questions. So many of us are familiar with Little Red Riding Hood. And this question, what could the red cloak symbolize? Do you think it's a DOK 1, 2, 3, or 4? Again, what could the red cloak symbolize? Do we think 1, 2, 3, or 4? What do we think? Oh, we have many people saying 4, 3, 1, 2. Oh, we have everybody saying all different answers, which is awesome, right? So I would classify this question as probably a DOK 3, right? So we're not actually asking our students to create anything, but we are asking them to analyze. We are going to get so many great answers from a question like this because we probably won't get the same exact answer from all of our students. Okay, great work, guys. Let's try another one. Can you think of a solution to the problem of a wolf in the forest for the villagers? What do we think here? Oh, we have many people saying 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Yeah, so I agree. I think that this would be either a level 3 or a level 4. Again, many of your students are going to come up with amazing answers here, and they're going to be able to open up that discussion. Okay, next one here. Who saves Little Red Riding Hood? Wow, you guys are experts on this topic already, right? So this is definitely a DOK one. There is one correct answer to this. This is not going to create any curiosity or any further discussion. And last one here. How would you conduct an investigation into the different versions of the Little Red Riding Hood story across cultures? Yes, definitely four, right? This is when you're creating, you're investigating, you're analyzing, you're evaluating these skills that we really want to push our students into, right? That deeper thinking, that critical thinking. Excellent, guys. So, to go back to that statement from the beginning, we are shutting down our students' curiosity. We are teaching them to memorize rather than to think. At the beginning, I showed you a DOK 1 question. I asked you, do you agree or do you disagree? That's all I asked you. I didn't even ask you why. So now I want to ask you a DOK 4 or 3 question. How can you promote curiosity within your classroom? Let's take a look. With maybe some games, open questions, open-ended questions, right? Debates are awesome as well. Asking them to analyze, sharing experiences. I love that one, right? With pictures, research projects, investigations, right? Inquiry-based questions, storytelling, peer-to-peer discussion, right? You guys have so many great ideas. So to conclude, do you think that this is something that you can use in your classrooms? Do you take on the challenge of trying to push your students into deeper curiosity? Okay, we have one yes, two yeses. Let's see. Definitely. I'm going to try it. Absolutely. Yes. Amazing. Okay, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you listening today.
And thank you, Jessica. We really appreciate your ideas. That was great. Thanks so much. There's so many kind of interesting ideas. So now it's time for questions. Audience, wherever you are you on Zoom? Are you on Facebook? Are you watching us on YouTube? Now it's your time. Please ask any questions you want to Jessica, Sadiku, and me, and we've got lots of time to answer your questions. So please get involved. Let's invite Sadiku back as well. Sadiku, if you're there, we'd love to see you back again. Come and say hello again. I hope he's still there. I'm sure he is.
Yes, I'm there. I'm there.
You are great.
I'm
So
there.
welcome back.
Yes.
Um, questions are what we want. So let's see what we've got. We've got quite a lot that have come from Facebook. We've got some here as well. Um, let's start with kind of just a general question to both of you. How did you start getting interested in these kind of areas of teaching, project-based learning, critical thinking? What sparked your curiosity? I'd like to ask Sadiku first.
Yes. Because the world is moving and times are moving.
Yeah.
Okay. Before now, knowledge is just based on memorization. But
Mm.
at the moment now, children should be able to apply knowledge. So what is implied now, knowledge applied. And globally, there are a lot of problems. And employers now, they're not looking for people with knowledge. They're looking for people that can apply the knowledge. So knowledge application is what sells. And the employers are looking for people that can solve problems, problem solvers. So if we are to get children to match the demand in the world, we should produce problem solvers, not knowledge carriers.
It's a great point. Not only thinking about education, but what actually comes after education, the real life, the work, and the jobs. Yeah, great point. I mean, I think schools are changing here, definitely in Spain, and I'm from Scotland. Schools are changing, but it's been a slow process, but I'm optimistic. How about you, Sadiku? What's your level of optimism for schools in your local area? Are they doing lots of critical thinking?
Yes, yes, because with the type of children we have now, there are children that are born into the 24th century. So
Hmm.
that's a change now, a change. So a lot of training going on, a lot of relearning. Okay. So and thank God for Jessica. What what teachers now have to do. There must be deeper learning. So the area of shallow learning is gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So deeper learning at all levels. So you must teach the children practically. Okay. And the area of lecturing, no, it's not acceptable. You must do real teaching.
Hmm.
Okay. Teaching where children own their learning. Okay. And they can learn independently. Okay. And they
Hmm.
can see it practically and with the use of ICT makes learning
Yeah.
so easy. So
Hmm.
teachers now must be practical in their learning, okay? And the children now, they are 21st century um, citizens, okay? They are technologically savvy. So a teacher who is not a 21st century citizen, who is a 21st century alien, we struggle with our type of children now, and it's all over the world.
Yeah.
So there's a shift now. There's a shift. So teachers need to shift, come out. You don't need to be a 21st century alien. You must now be a 21st century citizen, and you join them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't
And if
join them, they
there's
will not get from you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
true. And if there's any teacher that's worried that they don't know how to use technology, ask the learners. They're really happy to teach
yeah,
you to use
yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah,
There was a question about technology, actually, Sadiku, from a teacher. So I think it's a good time to ask you now. Let me find it. It's from Muhammad, and Muhammad asks, to present a project, you recommended Padlet,
yeah.
which is a blog, an online blog. Are there any other ways that you recommend for presenting projects?
Yes, they got like for what we do, um, apps. There are different apps now. Okay,
Mm,
and children, the world is a global village. Like in Nigeria, okay, some of my children, okay, they are engaged in competition globally.
mhm, mhm,
So competition globally, like the Diamond Challenge. Diamond Challenge is organized by the University of Delaware in the US. So we have School Enterprise Challenge. So you find my children competing with students in Brazil, students in Spain, students in the
mhm.
UK. So we
Amazing.
we have, yeah, so and they compete. So and you see them coming up with app. They design app, themselves, like um, um, product like this CCTV. You
Hmm.
find children working on projects like that. Okay, and one of my project that I engineered, students coming up with designing drones. Okay,
Okay.
designing drones, and a school that doesn't have a robotics lab as I speak has not started.
Hmm.
Okay, and you
Amazing.
see, yes, you see these children moving from Africa. They are going to the UK. If you leave Africa and go to the UK to study and you don't understand Python programming, you will struggle over there. So the computer
Yeah.
language, things are changing. And teachers too, they have to change. Because
Yeah, it's interesting.
you can't deliver what you don't have.
Yeah, and Python programming, to be honest, it's beyond my skill
Yeah.
level, but maybe it's something that you could do a cross-curricular project,
Yes,
bring
yeah.
in a technology teacher, someone that knows.
It's very
Yeah,
important.
great. maybe one day your students will meet Jessica's students in Peru. That would be fantastic. So
That
tell
would
us
be
if that
incredible.
happens.
Yeah. No,
Let's go
the
now
majority of the
to
schools, the majority of the schools in Nigeria now, they are part of the University of Cambridge. Okay. And if you are teaching the Cambridge curriculum, okay, you're teaching checkpoint, teaching
so that's
IGCSE.
connected.
Yes,
Okay.
the
So we're
curriculum
going
is knowledge applied.
okay, it sounds good. Let's go to a question to Jessica. It was the same one as I asked Sadiku. How did you first kind of become interested in kind of really looking into critical thinking and what you could do with
Yeah,
it?
I think very similar to his answer as well. I think that when I started out teaching, I had this misconception that education was the same as when I was educated as a child. And
Right.
that very much was recall, memorization, no critical thinking, no group work, no collaboration. And then I got into the classroom and I realized with all of the technology, with ChatGPT and all of the AI, students need to be able to think for themselves and think critically about the
Mm,
world around them. And how
mhm,
can we, as teachers, show students that this is what they're going to need, like we said, not only in the classroom, but also in their lives?
mm. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely true. And when we did the little interaction together, when I read the answer and you read the question, you were the student, Jessica, I was the no, you were the teacher and I was the student. As a student, I felt like, oh, I'm not really doing much.
It's
So,
very dismissive of your voice
yeah.
and your opinions as well, because it's
Uh-huh.
again, it's not critically thinking about anything. It's just providing a one word answer or three-word answer.
Yeah. So I really got the feeling there of being in the student's shoes. And if I wanted to say more, just I couldn't really. So yeah, thank you for involving me in that. I mean, it made me think. Uh-huh. We've got lots of questions, so let's move on. I'm looking at a question about project-based learning for Sadiku, and um, it's from Azali. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. This question is from a viewer on Facebook. And Azali asks, project-based learning, does it work for primary students? Azali teaches students who are 8 to 10 years old. Do you have experience in that age group?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Project works for all levels of children, primary,
Hmm.
secondary.
Hmm.
Okay, because at the primary level, learning is hands-on. So children want to, children want to be involved. Okay, and because they want to involve, if you don't involve them in their learning to come up with something, you will lose them.
Yeah.
And that's why we teachers need to get children involved. In fact, the children learn more when they are part of it, when they are involved in doing part of the learning. Okay.
Hmm.
And because the world in which we find ourselves, okay, the citizens, the children are 21st century. So memorization cannot work for them anymore. For example, I have a child that was in primary five, and
Hmm.
the child came home one day, said, "Dad, I was given an assignment." Say
Hmm.
assignment, okay. Say the assignment is Google assignment. I said Google assignment. And I was within me, I was this child want to disturb my time. I hope you don't want to use my phone. He said, it's Google. I will use the phone. And I said, and I said, okay. And can you read the question? Let me press the Google and type. As I was pressing, the child said, Daddy, can I have the phone? Ah, I was so curious. Can you have the phone? So okay. Take the I have set the phone up on Google to just type and search. The child in primary five just took the phone and just take the Google off and went to Google speaker. Tell me this, and the phone speak to her, and she wrote the
Yeah.
answer. I have planned to use 50 minutes. That child used 7 minutes and she was done.
Yeah.
So now these children, they are Google coach, they are Google experts. If a teacher doesn't know anything, Google, that teacher will struggle with that very children.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's very, very important. They are hands-on. They are
Yeah.
it's in our own days when once the producer produces the phone, he produces the manual. We have the manual. We will drop the phone and read the manual for some times and comprehend the manual before
Yeah.
we begin the phone.
I
But the
can't I
children of
can't
nowadays,
remember the last time I read a manual. It's true.
so children nowadays don't need any manual. They just take the
Yeah.
phone and they begin to operate. So
Yeah.
project work from primary school, very important.
It works, yeah. It could even be something really simple. If I can
Simple,
see
yes.
someone, also a teacher in the chat saying they teach 5-year-olds. It can be simple things like produce some
Simple thing.
recipes, do a
Yeah.
survey about how many people in your town eat healthy food, something really, really simple. Yeah, all ages
Simple,
can do
yes.
it for sure.
Yes.
Um, let's go to a question for Jessica. There's a few teachers asking the same thing, actually. And so I'm going to read the question that came from Patricia. And it says, Jessica, how could you implement this technique? So, depth of knowledge, higher order questions for lower level students. And Patricia says, or is it strictly reserved to higher level students? I think the answer to the second part is no, right?
Yes, it's an excellent
Yeah,
question, and I think it's a
it
question
is.
I get frequently,
Yeah.
especially not just for younger students, but also for students who I teach a lot of EAL students who maybe do
Uh-huh.
not have the English in order to express themselves quite yet.
Mhm.
However, I would say 100% this can be used for all students, and how I would do that is by using the gradual release model. So I would
Okay.
first model that critical thinking and that questioning and then
Mhm.
try to provide them with the vocabulary necessary to get to those DOK4 questions. When you think
Mm.
about younger kids, if you've ever met a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, they are the
Mhm.
most curious people in the whole world. And
Mhm.
you have to question and think to yourself, when do those questions stop? Right? Because
Yeah.
it really is because we stop asking questions. It's not because they know all the answers in the world. It's really because we have kind of smothered that curiosity a little bit. So one thing
Mhm.
that I've done, especially with the younger kids, is when I'm walking to gym or I'm walking to lunch with them, I stop and I ask myself, oh, I hear a bird. What kind of bird do you think that is? Why do you think the bird is
Mhm.
singing? Where do you think he's going? Right? Because if you model, then your students will naturally develop those skills as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I see what you mean. And in a way, it's sad, but then in a good way, we're bringing these back to the
Yes.
classroom and we're asking questions, and it sounds great. But yeah, a good tip. Um, let's go to a couple of questions, one for each of you, that are about assessment. Um, the question for Sadiku is was just a really simple one. Um, and let's see if I can find it now. It said, it's from Marilyn, and it says, Hi Sadiku, how can we evaluate during projects? Um, what do you do? Do you have a criteria table? Do you give spoken feedback? Do you do peer evaluation? What's your preferred way of evaluating?
Yes. The simple way to evaluate a project, there are some criteria. Okay, so we're looking at teamwork. Okay,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we're looking at the learning outcome. Okay, is that teamwork? Okay, we're looking at communication skill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll be looking at research. The research ability, the content. Okay, the materials used. okay, and the design. How do you the structure?
Mm-hmm.
How do you come up, with it? In a particular orderliness from the top to the bottom. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you pass on the information? Okay, there are gaps. Okay, for you to take on a particular project, there's a gap you are trying, to cover. Is the
Mm-hmm.
gap covered at well? You discover a gap. Okay, did you cover that gap at the end of the day? So
Mm-hmm.
these are some of the things we use to now do evaluation. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you go into research, research is meant to provide solution to a problem.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, is there a solution to a problem? For example, we have
Mm-hmm.
in Africa today, we have power supply issue, electricity, and stuff. So for students that want to carry out the project, okay, to resolve the shortfall of electricity supply, at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, the outcome, does it solve the problem? If it solve that problem, then that's research is a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good way to think about assessment because sometimes teachers are too focused on language only.
No,
But it's not. No, you're saying outcome, teamwork,
yeah,
collaboration, actually solving a problem. Yeah,
yeah.
those are great, great tips. And a question that I've just thought of, do you give individual grades or group grades or
No, group.
both? Or is that a difficult question?
Yes, yes, we give group grade
Group
because
grades. Okay.
yeah, if you do individual grade, then you are going to defeat the purpose of collaboration.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a group grade.
Yeah. I see exactly what you mean. And I wish
Yeah,
I hadn't asked that silly question now. Thank you for your
yes,
honest answer, though.
yeah,
Let's ask a very similar question to Jessica, and it came from. Let me see. It came from Samia, and Samia asked us if depth of knowledge level 4 questions, highest level questions, are included in tests. How should we assess the answers? Because there's not one correct answer like a multiple choice. I guess it's a lot more work put in by the teacher, or yeah. Well, tell us what happens in your class, Jessica.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I think that's why I had mentioned that all of these types of questions are valuable. We have standardized tests for a reason. We have multiple choice
Hmm.
tests for a reason because they do show that basic comprehension. But if you are looking to push your students and really try to assess deeper comprehension or connection to a text or to the topic in your classroom, you really want to be using DOK4s. I
Hmm.
wouldn't use actually a rubric for those questions. I would really use your judgment. What I tend to do on my quizzes is I assign higher point values for those questions rather than the DOK1 questions.
Okay. Ah, right. I see what you mean. So 1 point for the who,
Maybe
what,
4 points
where,
for
when.
DOK4.
Yeah. Yeah. And an actual extended answer with an explanation. Yeah, that makes students want to reach for those extra points if they're points motivated and answer. Okay, that helps. That helps a lot. So if you're the teacher that asked that, I hope that that was useful for you. Um, let's uh, let's take one question which is kind of on a different topic, but I think it's interesting. And it's from Arijit. And Arijit asks, how can we minimize the challenge between AI and critical thinking? Um, what do you think? Good thing, bad thing? Is it helping projects? Is it hindering or challenging projects and questions that you have in your class? Question is for Jessica and Sadiku. What do you think? How is AI
yeah,
affecting critical thinking?
yes. AI is there to help,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's there to help. We're talking about the use of ICT,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about artificial intelligence. It's there to help you to be more efficient,
Yeah.
and so it helps you to beat the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, more efficient, more effective, and more productive. Okay, AI is not there to take your place. AI is there
Definitely.
to help you. Yeah, it's there to help you to be better. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there are certain things AI cannot do. Okay, so those things that AI
Yeah.
can do, use AI to do them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Brainstorming in a
yeah,
project. I think that's a
yes,
place where you can use AI. Yeah.
yes. So, but the writer and you do that. Okay,
Yeah.
so so you work with AI, okay, to get that result. AI is not living where you are, okay, in your
Mm.
community where you are, you
Mm-hmm.
find problems. There are problems
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. So where
Yeah.
you are, AI is not there. AI is not seeing what you are seeing, okay. So you find the problem there, natural problems, okay. Then AI can help you. Okay. So when you are designing on how to solve the problem, so you bring AI. So AI
Mm-hmm.
will help you to make it faster. Okay.
Yeah.
Like in those days, I work with Education USA. You know, we write you write references, for students that want to apply to university abroad. In fact, you have to sit down and you think, you look at the child and you begin to think. But I just discovered, in fact, we were buying books on how to write references. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I even won one. I won one of the textbooks on referencing writing. But with the emergence of AI, it make it very simple. Okay. You want to write, it makes it very simple. I may write 20 references, okay, in 3 days. But right
Mm-hmm.
now, with I can write 100 references in 3 hours.
Yep, there you go. It's a help for us. There
So
we
it's a
go.
help, yes. Yes.
How about Jessica? What's your view? Are you
Yeah.
using it to help critical thinking, or are you saying no, don't use it? Think for
Yeah,
yourself.
I think something that you said was interesting, right? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And I don't think that's really where the argument is. I think the argument is it's here and we have to
Yeah.
figure out a way to manage it, right? Whether or not
Mm,
we're using the students or the teachers are using it in beneficial or negative ways. And I
mm,
think one of the great things about these DOKs is that when you send a student home and you give them a list of these DOK 1 questions, for example, if it's a math class and you're just giving them problems to go home and do homework, they could simply put it into the AI and then it would
hmm
generate the answers. However, if you're giving them DOK 4 questions, it's going to be a
hmm
little bit trickier. So if you ask the
Yeah.
students, for example, tell me step by step the process that you use to get to that answer, and what part of that question was the most challenging for you and why? That's going to be
hmm
a lot harder for the AI to answer rather than
Yeah.
what's two
Yeah.
plus two. Hmm.
Yeah. Very good point. And I think that was our last question of today. So thank you much, audience on Facebook, Zoom, and YouTube for all of your questions. We really enjoyed answering them. And of course, thanks again to Sadiku and Jessica
Thank you,
joining
man.
us from
Thank you so
Nigeria and
much.
Peru.
Yeah. Thank you.
We we
Yeah.
loved hearing about all your ideas. And of course, thanks to Joanna, thanks to Karen, everyone who was helping behind the scenes. And if you want to know more about planning lessons and courses, then we have a free course that is open to register, open for enrollment until the 24th of March. It's called Planning Lessons and Courses. So if you've liked the conversations today, we really, really recommend that course. And that's all for us today. So, goodbye, everyone. Have a lovely morning, afternoon.